Hello guys, welcome back to Money Sense with Miss T. My name is Tendo Jo and I am your financial coach. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. Really appreciate your continued support. So on today's episode, we will just be doing a continuation of part one of investing in our kids' future, right? And today we're going to specifically focus on investing in our children's financial future. And you may be sitting there and wondering, why should I start thinking about these things? Why should I even start actioning investment plans for my kids now? And I'm going to give you two reasons why you want to start doing that, or why you want to start basically employing this way of thinking where your kids' future is concerned. And the first reason you want to really start investing in your child's financial future is I am hoping that you would want to give your child a head start, right? And that head start is usually explained by unpacking the concept or the principle that we all hopefully know called compounding returns, right? And I think the popular returns that we all know is compounding interest. Because guys, for most of us, what we have is a resource called time, or what our kids have is a resource called time, right? They have a long time horizon, and time spent invested in a product, time spent in the market will buy you free money over time. And that's what compound interest speaks to. But to just double click and give you further insight on just how wonderful and just how much of a miracle compound interest is, I'm just going to share an example to illustrate how powerful compound interest is. So let's suppose you have 1,000 Rand, $1,000, £1,000 that you want to invest into a product that's going to give you, say, 5% interest, right? 5% interest per annum. So in year one, you put in this thousand, right? And the interest that you're going to earn from it is 50. At the end of year one, you're sitting with a balance of 1,050. In year two, that's when the compounding interest or the compounding effect kicks in. Instead of you earning interest just on the initial investment of 1,000, you are going to earn interest on the 1,000 as well as interest on the 50. So instead of earning just 50, you are going to earn 52.5. And if you just do the maths, right, for a 10-year time horizon or a 15 years time horizon or an 18 years time horizon, you will see how your investments over time just become bigger and bigger. And this was a very simple example, right? But between you and I, we know that on a year-to-year basis, we are going to, or rather on a month-to-month basis, we are going to be contributing towards this investment. And every year, we're going to make sure that we are increasing our contributions, right? And here and there, our kids are going to be gifted on their birthdays as well as Christmas, and we are going to take advantage of those lump sums, and we're going to inject them into these into their investments, right? And we are going to see how this investment is going to snowball, right? We are literally going to see it snowballing, becoming bigger and bigger, better and better over time. So the second reason why you want to start thinking about and start actioning investing for your child's financial future is because there is a very big discussion around, parents will work extremely hard and put money aside for their kids. And then when they reach 18 and you hand them over these accounts, then they go ahead and squander. I want to introduce another way of thinking about this, right? That if you are going to open an investment account on behalf of your child now, right, like we have, what you have access to is an opportunity to start educating your children about personal finances, right? Making sure that when they do reach the age of majority, when they do now need to start making when they now need to make financial decisions, they are financially literate. And what better way to actually show them or to educate them about how money works or how investments work by actually showing them how their money is actually growing, right? So with these accounts that we would have opened, or with these accounts that we have opened, you and I have an opportunity to take them on this journey for the next 10 years, for the next 15 years, or for the next 18 years, to show them how their investments are doing over time, and to also encourage them to start using their pocket money, to start using their birthday money, to start using their Christmas money to invest in this thing, in this product, and see it grow over time. Because the truth of the matter is, guys, our homes are our money classrooms. That is where we learn a lot about money. That is where our money tendencies, that is where our money behaviors, even our money personalities are formed and developed. And these are the things that usually show up when we are now adults. So let's take on the cause that we are all so passionate about. We're all passionate about the fact that the government must really make sure that financial education is part of the curriculum, etc. I say, let's not wait for the government. Let us be the government in our own homes. Let us equip, let us empower our kids with these financial concepts. And I promise you, well, I am hoping and praying that when this child becomes 18, right, we are going to get to a place where this child is mature and is able to take on this investment, watch it become something bigger and better over time. Now, where do we start, right? I'm just going to very slowly take you through the process of arriving at what product should I end up investing in, right? And really the objective of this is to just give you a high level of the things you want to start thinking about as you are preparing to invest in your child's financial future. The first thing is, you want to have a clear and a compelling vision around why you want to invest for your child. You've got a very long time horizon. I've already talked to you about why it's important to take advantage of that and give your child a head start, right? So it's very important to now, even if we are sitting here in year one and we have the next 18 years to prepare for this child, it's important for us to have a vision that is clear, or rather a vision that will, I know, with time will continue to evolve, because we get different information or new information that we catch on over time. So a compelling vision around why we are investing is very important. I actually think the why is more important than the what, right? And I think from where I'm sitting today in 2023, the reason why I really, really think it's important for us to prepare for our child's financial future is because I want them to get to a place where they are of age, right? They are of age, and they are able to use their skills, they're able to use their gifts and their talents to solve the world's problems without having to really, really stress about bread and butter issues like a deposit for a house, a car, funding and a grant to start a business, So that's really where my heart is around why I think it's so important for us to start thinking about and actioning an investment plan for our children. And the second reason, or rather my second why, is based on a proverb that I love very much. Proverbs are written by one of the wisest men on earth, called King Solomon, and he says a wise man, or rather a good man, leaves an inheritance for their children's children. And I think for me, this is just a part of it, right? Because again, when we talk about inheritance, we're not necessarily limiting it to finances, but finances is a very big part of it. So the second thing you want to think about is basically making a decision on how much you are actually going to set aside to invest in this particular product, which I'll talk to you about just in a bit. It's very important, again, and I emphasize, guys, it's so important to understand that this is a long-term investment. This is money that I'm going to put aside and completely forget about it. Maybe on a quarterly basis, I may have the opportunity to just review and see how my investments are doing. But again, it's money that I can afford to set aside for investment purposes for the long term. And how do you get around understanding or knowing how much you can actually realistically put aside for investment purposes? You need to have a budget. You need to have a financial wellness plan where where you are honestly telling your money where to go on a monthly basis. And I promise you guys, if you do the budgeting process properly, and I've got many videos about how to do budgeting, I'll probably flag one of them so that you can watch it, right? If you are going to do this properly, that budget is going to give you an honest feedback on how much you can realistically set aside for long-term investments for your children, right? And really, it doesn't have to be a lot of money. It can be as little as 20 Rand. It can be as little as $50 or even 20 pounds, right? And the view is to basically get to a place where you are developing, the right muscle or stronger muscle and an appetite to increase the amount, because you're actually seeing that your investments are growing over time. And the second thing you want to do is you want to make sure that this decision operates on autopilot. That means automating your investment decisions. You don't want to, on a monthly basis, be making a decision around the fact that you are going to invest. You're going to put aside 20 pounds or you're going to put aside $50. You want to make sure that you are doing the admin. And I know it's a bit onerous, the admin of setting aside a debit order or a direct debit that goes through every single month. And what you can do from year to year is maybe increase the amount, and from time to time just have those ad hoc deposits or those ad hoc injections. But very important to make sure that you are automating, because this is a decision, or this is a plan, an investment plan that you have for a very long time horizon. We do not have time to be depositing amounts into an investment account for the next 18 years. We've got technology to do it for us, and we're going to take advantage of that by making sure that we are setting aside those direct debits and those debit orders. Number 3, it's very important for us to really, really understand, and that's why I'm taking this very slowly, to understand what we are doing. We are investing. We are long-term investors, right? And I'm going to just let you in on a very simple example, or rather simple definition of what investing looks like, or what investing is, right? And this is a definition that I got from Investopedia. It says, investing is the process of buying assets, right, with the view or the aim or the objective that this asset is going to increase in value over a long period of time. And remember what I said at the beginning, we have the advantage of a long time horizon. Some of us have 10 years, some of us have 18 years, some of us have 16 years. It doesn't matter, but the point is we have a long time horizon which we can really take advantage of, right? And going back to the definition talks about buying assets. Which assets are these? There are 4 different types of asset classes that I want to speak about, but I'm going to focus on the last one. So the first one is basically buying cash. So that's basically depositing your money into a 32-day account or some fixed deposit account at a bank, or a corporate, or what we call corporate or government bonds, or the other asset class that is available for us is property, which I think we all sort of know and understand. And the last one, which I want us to really focus on today, is equity, also known as stocks and shares. So these are all terms that are used interchangeably. Now, it's very important to understand that if we are going to invest for the long term, we want to make sure that we are buying the appropriate asset. We are buying the asset that hopefully will ensure that we can maximize our returns over time, maximize our returns in terms of growth, and also we want to be at a place where the returns from this investment beats inflation, because we do not want to get to year 18 and the money that we have raised cannot do the things that we have set for it to do, right? Which I think a lot of people come to the realization of when now year 18 has come. You've put your money into a money market account, and that money you cannot actually use that money for your child's university, for your child's university. So very, very important, guys, to make sure that we are putting our money in the appropriate asset class so that we are getting the maximum returns for our investment. And the asset class that has outperformed the other asset classes that I've spoken about, the other three that I've spoken about, is equity. That's why we're going to focus on equity today. So the fourth area is we're going to focus on understanding what it looks like to invest in equity. And on this part of the conversation, I'm going to take it again very slow, and I'm going to give you very high levels. I think I'm going to actually have to do another episode to just unpack on how to go about investing in equity, because there is so much information, but I'm going to try and make it into small bits and chunks so that you can understand, so that at the end of this episode, at least, you know that you can actually go and sit either with a coach or with your financial advisor or whoever the case is, and you can start actioning some of the things that I have spoken about. So whenever most people hear the words shares or stocks or equity, they automatically switch off. They're just like, it's too risky, it's too complicated, it's too difficult. I'm going to have to know how to do analysis of financial statements. I'm not an accountant, or I'm not a financial analyst. I'm just not interested. And I'm here to say, calm down. It's okay. You have what it takes to understand how the stock market works. You have it in you, and I'm going to take you on this journey with me to a place where we can eventually get to a platform, get to an investment platform, and put in our initial, let's say, 20 pounds or our initial 100 Rand, and start the journey of investing for our children's financial future. Okay, so how do we actually go about starting to buy these shares? There are two ways that we can do this. We can either buy single stocks or single shares, or we can buy what we call ETFs. I'm going to focus on ETFs, but if we were to buy single stocks, always remember that single stocks are in their nature very expensive on their own. So if, for instance, you wanted to buy an Amazon stock, for instance, or a ShopRite stock, or a Standard Bank stock, or a Standard Bank stock, right? They're very expensive, and it's going to require you to actually have, the knowledge and the understanding of, analyzing financial statements, understanding economic and political climates, etc., because all of those things drive that share price. So very important to understand that between you and I, we may not necessarily have the time bandwidth and even the skill bandwidth to be able to figure out which shares to invest in, right? And that's where the ETF comes in. The ETF is a product that has been designed for people like you and I who do not necessarily have the time to be sitting down and analyzing financial statements and analyzing how the economic climate is looking and deciding which stocks to invest in, right? And a simple way of explaining what an ETF is think about a basket, right, that has been curated by experts, right? And in this basket, these experts have put in different companies from different industries, right? And this basket can be bought as a fund called an ETF, right? And I'm going to give you examples of certain ETFs that I want you to start looking out for, because these ETFs are structured in a way, because I think if you go on to just on the JSE, right, there's probably 90 now, just under 90 ETFs, right? I think the last time I checked, it was about 80 ETFs. So there's that's happening. There's a lot of ETFs that are on offer, right? But the ETFs that I want you to focus on are the ETFs that have a broad market exposure, right? And what that means is when you look at the basket, when you look at the companies that are in this basket, you want to make sure that those companies are from diverse sectors or diverse industries. So you want to make sure that in your ETF, you have companies from mining, from the mining industry, from technology, from education, financial services, etc. And in that way, I think and I believe it's a great way to diversify and spread your risk, right? Because again, very important, whenever people think about shares, they automatically think high risk, right? But a way in which we can make sure that our eggs are not in one basket is by making sure that we are taking advantage, or we are actually buying ETFs that are that are basically diverse in nature, right? So I'm going to give you 3 examples of these, depending on where you are in the country. But remember, you are going to have to go and do the homework of searching on the platforms to see which ones are suitable for you. So if you're sitting in South Africa, one of the ETFs that I'm going to recommend you look into is the JSE Top 40. And the JSE Top 40 is basically an ETF, again, a basket that has the top 40 largest companies in South Africa, which you can actually invest in and have exposure to their performance, right? So instead of just buying a ShopRite share, you can find a combination of ShopRite shares in this very specific basket, a share from shares from, let's say, Standard Bank, shares from, let's say, another mining company. So in that way, it's diversified. The second one is if you're sitting in, say, the US, a popular one that's listed on the New York Stock Exchange is called the S&P 500, Standard & Poor's 500. And this one is a basket that is full of the top 500 and I believe 7 companies, largest companies in the US. And in the UK, we're looking at the FTSE 100, which is basically companies that are listed on the London Stock Exchange, the top 100 largest companies that are listed on the London Stock Exchange. So that's how you can narrow down where to start shopping, right? In that way, what are we achieving? We are achieving diversification. We are achieving that risk of not putting our eggs in one basket, because when something catastrophic like COVID happens, you don't want a situation where you are invested in shares that are just in the, let's say, in the hospitality industry, for instance, because we all saw what happened with the hospitality space or the hospitality sector during COVID. It all went down. But if you were invested in an ETF, right, that was diverse, that was broad, right, in its market exposure, even when certain companies in it were not doing well, there was other companies that were doing well. For example, pharmaceutical companies, just as a simple example. Number 5, where do I buy these funds? Where do I buy these shares? You buy them from stockbrokers. And now I think we live in a world where we've got these sophisticated and actually very simple investment platforms that we can use. If you're sitting in South Africa, Easy Equities is one of them. Satrix is another one. And if you're sitting in the UK, I'm personally very interested in Wealthify. There's also Vanguard and Hargreaves. And then the 5th area is, which products are we looking at? We want to make sure that the products that we are looking at, right, are using a tax-efficient vehicle, right? And if you're sitting in South Africa, you want to make sure that all the ETFs that you are buying for your child, on behalf of your child, are tax efficient. So they are under the wraparound of a tax-free savings account. And in the UK, you want to make sure that the ETFs that you are investing in for your child are under the wraparound of a junior ISA or a junior SIP, because we have to take advantage of tax, guys, because every time your earnings or your returns increases, right? Your return in the form of either interest or in the form of capital gains or in the form of dividends, right? Whenever you start earning, right? Ordinarily, if you are invested outside of the tax efficient wraparound, all of these things are going to trigger income tax, capital gains tax, as well as dividends tax. And if this is your kind of content, please do press the subscribe button and share it with as many people as you can. Thank you so much. See you next time.